Okay, so now that you've made your dough, it's time to start rolling and cutting it out. The first job that we need to do is we're just going to flour our surface just like that, just so that the dough doesn't stick. Then we can get the dough out just as so, and rather than kneading it, because it's not a bread dough, we don't want to stretch the dough, we're just going to roll it in that flour and turn it into a nice flat surface just like that. The next job is we need to roll it out. So you've got two options when it comes to rolling it out. You can either use a rolling pin just like that, or you can just use your hands to flatten and then turn just as so. I'm going to use a little rolling pin, so I'm going to add a little bit of flour onto my rolling pin just like that. Now when it comes to rolling, what we don't want to do is we don't want to roll in every possible direction, because that will mean that you'll have an uneven dough and you're less likely to get that circular shape. You're more likely to get a dog bone sort of shape out of your dough, right? So the way you do it is think of the pot group one direction, okay? And you're only ever rolling in one direction, then you turn the dough. So this is how to do it, okay? You roll in one direction and then you can turn the dough. One direction and then turn the dough. One direction and then you can turn the dough just like that. As I said, if you haven't got a rolling pin, you can easily do exactly the same by patting with your hand and then turning it round. I'm just going to add a little bit of extra flour. Then we've got a little cutter just here. I'm going to cut these into little circular shapes. If you didn't have a cutter, then you could equally use the back of a fork or a table knife just to cut them into little triangular shapes instead, right? Because it works just as well. So with my cutter, I should be able to make about 6 to 8 little scones, depending on the size of my cutter, okay? So all I'm going to do, I'm going to cut one just there and let him fall out, okay? I've got 2, let him fall out. I've got 3, just like that. I've got, see if I can get 5 out of that one, 4, just like that. Yeah, I can get my 5th one just out as so. Then I'm going to re-roll this stuff, and it looks like I should be able to get about 7 out of this mixture. So re-roll it. As I said, we don't want to handle it too much. So this time, all that we're going to do is I'm going to press and turn, and we're looking for about that inch thickness. And for me, an inch is just on my thumb, just up to my knuckle, just like that. An inch or about 2.5 centimeters. So I'm just going to cut that one out just as so, and we can pull that bit off just like that. And then the final one, we'll give that a little mix, a little bit more flour just on there, and then the final one comes out just like that. So it looks like I've got 7 little scones. Pull him out just as so, and then we've got that mixture, and I can make that into a little one afterwards. The final part of this stage is we're just going to pop them onto a little floured baking tray just like that. Try and make sure that you leave about 2 centimeters in between each one, so that when they do start to rise, okay, they won't start touching each other. And then we will come back and I'll show you how to make the crosses on top. I'll see you in a couple of moments. Okay, so now that you've cut out all of your scones, it's time to start making that little cross. And you'll see in my little bowl just there, I've got 70 grams of plain flour. And what we're going to do is we're going to add 3 to 4 tablespoons of water just to create and make a little dough. So this is how to do it, right? All I'm going to do is I'm going to add in, dye, and 3 to start with. As I said, you can always add more, you can't take any out. Then just with a little teaspoon, I'm just going to give it a really good mix just until we start to combine and turn that into a little dough just like that. You should be able to see that I've got my dough just like that, and it's sticking to my spoon. Then the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to pop a little bit of flour just onto there, and I can get my dough just onto there. flour your hands, and we're just going to knead it together just for a couple of moments, just to help develop that gluten. Once you've done that, and here's some in true Blue Peter style that I made earlier, okay, is we just need to roll it out into little sausage shapes. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to start to roll it on the table surface, then I can use my hands, and because you've kneaded it and you started to develop that gluten in there, we can just roll it out until it's super thin, okay? And then you should, if I cut that in half, okay, once you get to that stage, you can then roll it out even thinner, okay? And then you should be able to get 8 little strips of about 1.5 inches thickness, and they will go on top. Now, to save a bit of time today, I have actually prepared some just here. I've been doing lots of Blue Peter today, and to stick these on, all that we're going to do is I've got some milk just over here. Excuse me one second. I've got some milk just over here, and we're just going to brush the tops of our little scones just like that. This is going to act as that little bit of glue. It's also going to make as a glaze to help glaze the top of our scones as well, help them to go golden brown. And then literally all that we're going to do, I've got these little bits, I'm going to add 1 just there, I'm going to add 2 just there. There's no need to glaze these again, because we want the little the crosses to be a slightly different colour. So I'm going to carry on pushing those on top just like that. You can pull them out and just stretch them over just like that. So I've done 3 just there, and I'm going to do that one, and I've got that one just there. We're going to finish it off with that one and this one, pull it out and just stick it on just as so, and I got my final one just here, and you can see we've got our little hot cross scones. They are going to bake in the oven. I'm going to cook them in my little halogen oven just behind me for about 20 minutes at 190 degrees or gas mark 5, and they should rise, they should go golden brown, and your kitchen area will smell blassus yawn super tasty. I'm going to pop these in the oven and let you finish off with your crosses. Get yours in the oven, and I'll see you in a couple of moments. Well, hello and welcome back. I hope your scones are now baking off in the oven, and your kitchen, I promise you, is going to start smelling absolutely fantastic in a couple of moments. Mine have just come out of the oven, and if I use my oven gloves just to hold these up to you, because the tin's quite hot, you can see that they're nice and golden brown in colour, and you've even got that little cross. So even though they're not hot cross buns, as scones, they're going to be absolutely delicious. Now, the last thing, before we can eat those, the last thing we need to do is just cool them off, rather than let them go soggy on the tin. So I'm just going to pull them off and pop these on my little cooling wire, just like that. 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7, and we're just going to leave those to cool off for about half an hour, just until they're nice and cool, and then we can serve them. And you could serve those on their own, or if you're feeling a bit naughty, with a little bit of jam and cream, and I promise you, in the words of my West Wedian friends, these are cowing lush. Well, I hope that you've enjoyed cooking along with me today. I certainly have enjoyed showing you how to make these hot cross scones. Don't forget that all our recipes are available on our website, cookingtogether.co.uk, as well as the HAPI and our Facebook pages. I look forward to cooking with you again in the future, but in the meantime, cook in your happiness.